You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. You know what we're about to do. Welcome back, everybody. This is day 103 of the YSL case, and we are back. Okay, so I'm getting the full ex parte transcript sent to me right now. And I did drop the link to that Twitter post. Shout out to the Hood Lawyer who had it in their Twitter account. So you can see it and y'all can hear it. It's right at the beginning where Adrian Love asked for the ex parte. And then when I find the clip, I'll make a longer clip of it so we can get like maybe a little bit more context of what was going on in court at that exact moment. So, but at least it's there. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is a part of the supplement to Kendrick's motion. So up here, I'll drop the whole link. This is Kendrick's, Mr. Weinstein's filing for, he's added this as a supplement, and his supplement is the ex parte transcript. So 2:45 p.m., I'm assuming this is on June 7th. Miss Love, Judge, the reason that I specifically wanted to talk with you is that I have concern about the representation being made of the representation of Mr. Copeland. I'm concerned, and I am sort of not. I wanted to just bring it to the court's attention. Mr. Melnick has not conveyed to either Ms. Hilton, myself, or any member of the state any legitimate concern that he has regarding Kenneth Copeland's testifying. What we have seen is a physical interactions with persons besides Mr. Copeland that would indicate that Mr. Copeland is not Mr. Melnick's primary priority. Oh, okay. So again, I mean, they're calling it right there. She's reading it right now. Oh no. Darn, I love when Kat and I do it. All right. Q, you need to jump on. Get out of your meeting and come on, Q. We can read together. What we do know is that when the fact that he's willing and wanting to leave and leave, number one, he left twice after the court ordered him to speak with his client. And it would seem his actions conveyed that it is not Mr. Copeland's best interest that is his priority. Okay, that's where the email came in talking about, is this my priority? And where he infamously said, use the expletive. Got it. Miss Hilton was not speaking with Mr. Copeland at Mr. Copeland's request at the time that I announced that Miss Hilton was calling Mr. Copeland. What I did not know is that she is trying to tell you to give us a minute because Mr. Copeland was feverishly, and I will let her speak as to how that went down, feverishly trying to get her in there to convey to her something that Mr. Melnick had just said to him that did not come from any of us, the court. What was that, Ms. Hilton? So let me just put in order of operation. I got up because Deputy Chief Long said he wants to talk to you. Come out right now. So when I went into the room, Melnick either came in or came outside and what Mr. Copeland said, and I think that he wanted to get some autonomy. I want to talk to you. He's like, I've already talked to you, but I want to talk to her. And Mr. Melnick kept like blocking him being able to talk to me. All right. So Melnick is clearly there. He's not blocking because he has nothing better to do. He's actually his representation. Okay. Like blocking him being able to talk to me. So eventually I was like, well, clearly you want to talk to him. So I'll step out and you can come in. Mr. Melnick spoke to him, and I think he was trying to eat up time because he knew that you were coming out. So by the time I got back in there and he started to talk, that is when I don't. Do you need the plug? Okay, it was plugged in. President Firstborn. All right, now threw me off, man. So by the time I got back in there and he started to talk, that is when everybody said, "Come on, the judge is waiting," and that's why he stormed in angry. Miss Love, he being Mr. Copeland, because I think he was trying to convey to me some concerns he had. And so I was trying to have that conversation. But Mr. Copeland and I have been having really good conversations since Friday, like very, very good conversations, just not even about the facts of the case, but just life experiences. So I think I was building a rapport with him such that he thought I lied to him. So I was trying to explain to him. Okay, I want to stop for a second. I don't have any problem, and I don't know the decorum of attorneys talking with um, possible witnesses and whatnot like that. But again, to couch it as if he did not have counsel does seem to be a lap too far when it's clear that she knows that he has counsel. My point, Miss Love. And by that, she means today. Today about what was going to happen because of what Mr. Someone conveyed to him, Ms. Hilton. We believe that something was being conveyed. What happened is, as Mr. Copeland is walking back into the courtroom, Mr. Melnick and Julie would have to, Miss Langquat would have to confirm this, but he said they are going to hammer you. And that made me ask Miss Love, did you say something about hammering him? And I don't know who. Miss Love, nobody did. Nobody did. It doesn't make sense. You would say that to him. And that was the court. Miss Love, we never said that. But anyways, okay. So whatever that communication was, that's when he stormed in and got angry. And the result I got was what he gave when we started. So at this point, I'm very concerned, Ms. Love. He, meaning Mr. Copeland, stormed in and got angry. The timing of everything is, again, Ms. Hilton, everything is very ironic. We laid it out on a record earlier about what happened, and I don't believe Mr. Copeland's best interest is being served at this moment, given that, Mr. Melnick was willing to take a vacation and let him languish in jail. Boy, they are so grimy. So they're calling him out for going on vacation, which was planned before. But please understand, remember, Hilton, and I think it's very funny that Hilton is the one that is saying this, and she's about to take a medical vacation or some kind of medical break next week. So she's doing the exact same thing. Just seems interesting. Now, that is very hypocritical. I can kind of see why they're mad and languish in jail. And that is not. We have communicated that we never wanted Mr. Copeland to go to jail. We don't want him in custody. We don't want any of that to occur. And so, Ms. Love, and Mr. Melnick has not spoken. He has not relayed. What we did get during the break was an email from Mr. Melnick. I don't know if he had to have been blind copying someone else. This is the infamous email where he says, "Yeah, I got you." Someone else. The only two people I could see on the email were Miss Hilton and myself, but he referred to me in the third person and said, "These are the communications between myself and Miss Love." So I asked Mr. Melnick, whose interests are you concerned about? Are your clients, or Mr. Steele's, or Mr. Shard's? Because prior to, and this is not the first time Mr. Copeland has said he doesn't represent me. This is not the first time Mr. Melnick has. And let me be real clear. When he spoke of what was happening before him representing Mr. Copeland and he told me that he didn't represent Mr. Copeland. He told me. The court, Mr. Melnick told you? Yes, Mr. Melnick told me previously that he wasn't representing him. court, you would not speak. You would not speak to the unrepresented party. I mean, I know you know enough of the rules to not. I'm sorry, enough of the rules to know that if you thought or intimidating that, or intimating rather, that somebody was represented by counsel, you would go ahead and let them contact a lawyer. It's funny that the court is saying this. The Judge Glanville, is saying this. Like, I know you wouldn't violate the law, would you? It just seems like it seems wild. Or Mr. Copeland would have said, because I don't know as a witness, because he's not charged, if we could have had to love, right? Because he's not charged. I don't think you have to, because there's no pending charges. But if he told you, I got a lawyer, I don't want to talk to you. But he didn't have to say that, though. They knew he had a lawyer. We would have left because, okay, I'm just trying to think, like, back to the conversation that Hilton was having with Woody before he came in. You knew he had a lawyer then. I don't understand. What are we missing? Because people counsel that they have under retainer or something else, or they say, hey, I got a lawyer that I use for everything, and I want to talk to him. I'm not comfortable talking to you unless my lawyer is present. Ms. Hilton, we have done that with a number of our witnesses here. So this would have been no different. Exactly. And this is love. And we would have, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. No. Go ahead. That's it. We actually communicate, especially when either they are incarcerated or subject to having their sentence revoked as a result of their testimony because they pled guilty here. We only reach out to them through their attorney because we want the attorney to speak to them, and for that to be, because that's the best way, in our opinion, to get a rapport that elicits a truthful testimony. Okay, I can understand what they're doing here, but if they thought truly that Woody had no attorney at all, I'm wondering, should they have asked, especially if they're thinking that it's possible that he has an attorney. I mean, why would Melnick be there if he wasn't his attorney? It just seems weird. So in this particular instance, there was not that, number one, there was not that communication made by Mr. Copeland that there was either a need for that, and two, there was not a need for us to be concerned about it because he doesn't have charges. But you've had him as he has an attorney, even without charges. Okay. It just seemed like they're deliberately not calling Mr. Melnick, even though they know Melnick has in the past been the attorney. Ms. Hilton explained to him at length that whatever happened that he did in 2015, which is all we're going to be talking to him about, the statute of limitation has run. He didn't do the murder. We know that. I mean, so I don't want to get into the facts of anything. What I'm trying to get at is the fact that Mr. Copeland, I believe Mr. Melnick has inserted himself in a way that jeopardizes the best interests of our witness. Okay. I believe that in conveying to the court that Ms. Bumpus is going to stand in his stead. Ms. Bumpus has been, so this is on the 7th, right? That Ms. Bumpus has been, she had to be, she was, what is the word I'm looking for? The sheriff had to speak to her because she was in the courtroom trying to hug Jeffrey Williams. No, she hugged DeMonte Kendrick. I'm sorry. In fact, she hugged DeMonte Kendrick and hugged Mr. Williams. And that's how Captain Kendall saw her. And Captain Kendall had her taken out. Ms. Love, she expressed dismay and concern in challenging her right to go interact with that matter with the defendants. So they got issue with Bumpus. Okay. Very interesting. Hmm. Okay. That's just interesting. Like, why are they throwing Bumpus in under the bus? I don't know, man. At this stage of the game, I just think they're just doing whatever they like. They like doing it. That's what they're doing. All right. Mr. Copeland has been reaching out to speak to Miss Hilton, and that communication is being blocked by someone Mr. Copeland didn't reach out to. So you're saying that Melnick and now Bumpus by default are not his attorneys, but you knew that you knew that Melnick was at one time, and the only reason Bumpus is there is because she was his attorney. You notice no one said Mr. Copeland called me. He never said when we put on the record when Miss Hilton said, the way I understand it, Mr. Melnick reached out to Mr. Copeland because the first time we heard an assertion like, he's going to plead the fifth, is when Mr. Melnick sent an email to Miss Hilton and myself and had copied on it Mr. Steele and Mr. Shard last night. Why would he have done that given? And that's the state's concern. That's the point. But here is the challenge. The challenge is you have privileged communications. And unless you've got him being the client, disclosing to a third party that wouldn't be subject to the privilege, that is the only way you're going to, Ms. Love. I don't disagree with that. But what was he trying to say here? Okay, so I'm thinking if Melnick sent them an email saying, hey, my client is going to plead the fifth, when you want to know that, it seems like the right thing to do to let everybody know, like, yo, my client's going to plead the fifth, just so everybody knows. Why let the state know, but not let the defense know? Or why let the defense know, not let the state know? It seems like you would want both of them to know. Ms. Love, I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. But if Mr. Melnick, and the thing that got me the most is Mr. Melnick is not looking at Mr. Copeland saying, Mr. Copeland, I want you to stay out of jail and I will be here with you. And if they ask you anything that touches upon something that you and I talked about, I will stand up and assert your right. He didn't do that. Okay, I don't know if he did. So I can't argue that. I understand what she's asking for. It just seemed like a lot, but okay. What he did was he looked over at the two people and said, like, I did what I could, shrugged his shoulders, held up his palms of his hands like this, as to say, I tried. Okay, this is the infamous shoulder shrug. And okay, apparently shoulder shrugs are co-conspirator, our RICO quality. I don't understand it. There's no reason he would be looking to the right to counsel for the defense like I tried after Mr. Copeland said I'm not going to testify. That doesn't make sense. Okay. But you know what also doesn't make sense? The judge making hand movements to the state. That doesn't make sense. I mean, there's a lot of doesn't make sense in here. You know what I'm saying? The court. Well, there's a lot of innuendo that they have asserted themselves. They, being some of the defense counsel, have inserted themselves into this particular process. And that's what my concern is Mr. Melnick's insertion of himself. The court. What are you asking me to do? What are you asking me to do? And what do you think that I can do? Wow. So the referee is taking orders from the coach of the other team. Wow. I mean, that's kind of powerful. What are you asking me to do? What are you asking me to do? And what do you think that I can do? Wow. Okay. That's not bias. That's not bias at all. Nah, not even a little bit. That is the exercise. That is the homework for tonight. I wanted to let the court know that that is what we're looking into right now, because there is a remedy, because I have faith in the law, in our law. I love this thing. And I know there is a remedy, because this can never have been the first time this has happened. It has been addressed. I just have to find it. But I didn't want to be looking for something and not let the court know that I'm looking for. So you are not, so that you are not, I'm sorry, you are caught off guard when Monday morning or Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. Interesting. We find it and send it to you, the court. Okay. So thank you for allowing us to audience with the court. I just wanted to make certain that we did it properly and we have everything on record. Okay, I want to stop right here. I don't think this ex parte is as bad as the previous one. Some of the things said in it, though, I do think about this ex parte is actually the proper type of ex parte, one of the examples of a proper ex parte. But let's continue. It is our witness. We have conveyed to him that he is shielded from prosecution for anything that he talks about on the stand and any use of that. And the thing is that we won't ask him that, but this is what he said. Y'all might not, but they might ask me about some things that I have to assert my right on. And that would be a question by question basis. Okay, I don't know if he's saying the state or the prosecutor or the defense. What he is being influenced to do, we believe, by Mr. Melnick is through Mr. Melnick, because as we saw, Kenneth Copeland said, I will testify. Mr. Melnick, even after that said, he's asserting his fifth. He's asserting his fifth. I'm going to go talk to him. Logically, one would think that as long as Mr. Melnick's concerns about Kenneth Copeland's freedom, legal freedom, and his exposure, as long as those were addressed, Mr. Melnick should be saying, I'm here with you. If there's something that I know will put you in jeopardy, I will stand up and stop you. But right now, I would rather you stay out of jail. Instead, you get Mr. Copeland, and you can see through his body language. He gets there in the court and he's smiling and as if he's making a show of being taken into custody. After this, the man don't want to be in jail. He said it. Didn't he say he didn't? Didn't he say he don't want to be in jail? Hilton said that's his biggest fear. That's his biggest fear. And now he's in jail after Mr. Melnick asserted himself into the process. See, I don't think that's what happened. I think Woody went to jail because Woody did not want to be on the stand testifying. It's that easy. I mean, that's what he said. Okay. So we have to go figure it out. I'm not just laying it in your lap saying, go fix it. I'm just bringing this to the court's attention. This is a grave concern. Miss Hilton, she's about to lose her mind because her biggest concern is that Mr. Melnick is actively harming a human being. And that's what she's maddest about. Okay. This is why I believe Brian Steele wanted Melnick to come in. I'm mad because it is stopping our trial and it's wrong. And that is not how the law is supposed to work. So we have two big old grave concerns that we are working to remedy right now. The court, okay. Well, like I said, I think that you brought your concerns to me. You know, without more, I don't know what else I can kind of do in terms of that. My comments today were predicated on there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background, and it shouldn't. have to do anything with you all's case. It really shouldn't, but I think it does in some way. Outside agitators love that too, and everybody else who I think are trying to influence. Okay, that is absolutely happening. Okay, now we get into the outside agitators. There's a lot going on. There is a presence. Yes, yes. That is all I'll say. I mean, here's the court. I mean, but I see it in front. I see it from just being in the courtroom and tracking. But okay, if you find anything, we'll see where Monday leads us. And like I said, since we now know he's going to be potentially invoking, well, I'm sorry, and he's going to potentially invoke, we'll see what his pleasure is. And I mean, this is love. Just the idea of somebody sitting in jail throughout this trial, but if that's what he's being counseled to do, and that's what he does, that's just wrong. It's wrong because a member of the bar is, in my mind, creating the circumstances. You know, he's going to do what the person he trusts to have his best interest at heart tells him to do. And that person, he doesn't have to tell us what he's concerned about. And just sit there. And when he sees the train coming, stand up and say stop. But he's on vacation to go on, so he can't be here. Boy, they are mad about this vacation. Boy, they are mad. They are upset. So Ms. Bumpus is going to be here. Ms. Bumpus hugging Mr. Kendrick, and Mr. Williams is going to be here representing the interests of Mr. Copeland, who is supposed to testify against Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Williams. Okay, I got to give her that. I mean, she cooking right there. I get it. That is where we are. That doesn't make us, that doesn't pass the smell test. I get it. I mean, I understand that part. I don't know if I agree, but I understand what she's saying. She cooking a little bit there. All right, so they said 11 o'clock, and it's still up, not up yet. All right, okay, thank you. All right, and that is, okay, that's the end of it. And all right. I totally get what they're upset about. I just don't know if it's as bad as I thought it would be. When you read it, I mean, the outside agitators, the influence, the little shade, the little barbs thrown. All right, let's see what Melnick actually points out. All right, the Superior Court of the Fulton County, State of Georgia, supplement to DeMonte Kendrick's motion for mistrial. All right, so this is a motion for mistrial. Comes down to DeMonte Kendrick, petitioner, by and through his undersigned counsel, and brings this supplement to motion for mistrial, showing as the following: the outside agitator term that delegitimizes internal dissent against the status quo. So anyone who speaks up against the status quo, whatever that is by definition an outsider. Professor Dylan Pennyworth of Berkeley. Judge Glanville making outrageous allegations against members of the defense team in the present case. But I think it does, in some way, outside agitators and everybody else who I think are trying to influence. Okay, yeah, that's what he's talking about. The third ground argued in Kendrick's motion for mistrial is that Kendrick's due process rights were violated relating to the 14th Amendment due process violation, relating to, in part, to Chief Judge Glanville's wrongful coercion of Copeland to testify. Further evidence of the state and Judge Glanville's violation of Kendrick's due process rights. I do want to stop here. It was right. I think the ex parte was okay. Is what they were talking about is a problem. Yesterday after court, Kendrick received a rough transcript, Exhibit A, of an additional secret ex parte meeting with Judge Glanville held on Friday, June 7th. The rough transcript was helpful helpfully provided by the court to defense counsel. A reading of the rough transcript highlights that which has been obvious to all observers, except for Mr. Kendrick's counsel. For the past 19 months, Judge Glanville has been willfully biased and acting as a member of the prosecution team, since the inception of this case. I could definitely see that he's counseling them. I don't know if this is the slam dunk. I think previous ex parte meeting was a much more example, was a greater example of him working with the prosecution. But here, I can kind of see what he's saying. Kendrick's counsel takes no pleasure in alerting this honorable court to this situation, but client obligations require it. Due process requires a fair trial. It's not fair trial when an ex parte meeting Glanville, Love, and Hilton gossip like Yentas. What is Yentas? Over a 13-page transcript about attorney Shard, Melnick, and Steele. Okay, I gotta look up Yenta. What is a Yenta? It probably means a teenage girl, because that's what my daughters sound like sometimes. A woman who is a gossip, a busybody. She acts like a nosy Yenta. Okay, I got you. It is not fair. It is not a fair trial when an ex parte meeting, Glanville, Love, and Hilton assassinate the character of attorney Melnick and attack his integrity, alleging that he's not acting in the best interest of his client, Copeland. It is not fair trial when ex parte meeting Glanville, Love, and Hilton attack attorney Bumpus for allegedly hugging Kendrick and stating that she is incapable of representing Copeland. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It is not fair trial when an ex parte meeting Love lies to Glanville about an email she received from attorney Melnick. Yeah, that back and forth in that email. It is not fair trial when an ex parte meeting Glanville starts talking about outside agitators, stating my comments today were predicated on there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background, but it shouldn't have to do with anything with you all's case. It really shouldn't, but I think it does in some way outside agitators. It is not fair trial when an ex parte meeting Glanville, Love, and Glanville and Love have the following outrageous conversation. But I think it does in some way outside agitators. Love that too. And everybody else who I think are trying to influence. That is absolutely happening. It is not a fair trial when Glanville, Love, and Hilton had the further discussion. There's a lot going on. There's a presence. Yes. That is all I'll say. I mean, but I see it from just being in the courtroom and tracking. How many violations of the Georgia Code of Judicial Conduct does it take to get a mistrial with prejudice? This case is like an old house that the present honorable judge is tasked with renovating. Every time a piece of plastered up wallpaper is removed, more rot is found hidden underneath. Why do you have to be like an old house, man? Why you gotta call my man an old house, bro? Come on, man. Oh, that's too small, Jason. Rot underneath. No Herculean effort by the present court can fix the due process violations of the last judge. This house must be torn down. A mistrial should be declared, a retrial barred due to prosecutorial and judicial misconduct that has goaded Mr. Kendrick into this present motion. However, or rather wherever, Mr. Kendrick respectfully continues his request that this honorable court declares a mistrial based on at least due process violations of Kendrick's constitutional rights under the federal constitution and the constitution of the state of Georgia on this day, July 31st. Wow. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Shots Fired Tuesday. Oh, Wednesday. Sorry. Shots Fired Wednesday. Yeah, this was going to be a mess. That wasn't bad, though. I appreciate that. That was very quick, read, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Let's get back.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Names and then any exhibits for Mondays.
I think the only, I don't know who is being called. We can find out. Ms. Lovett and Ms. Hilton or Mr. Atkins, who is going to be called? Let's assume that Mr. Copeland invokes again.
Your Honor,
Do you have some other witnesses that we can take up at that point?
Your Honor, we will apprise after we look at and reevaluate where we are, because our order of proof was building blocks that at this point began with Mr. Copeland. And there are certain things that have to take place before we can tell them anything. So
Okay.
we
Fair
have to do that. We have to deal with that and where we are right now.
All right.
And that's just where we are.
Okay. Well, be thinking about what scenarios you'd like to have the court look at.
Yes, Your Honor.
Depending upon whether or not Mr. Copeland decides he'd like to invoke his privilege again. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
And Your Honor, go ahead.
Madam.
Mr. Sharp, you can have the floor.
Yes.
Could I'm just going to ask a courtesy of the deputies, could we just keep our clients here for just 5 minutes after court and 15 minutes after court ends? The attorneys would like to have a discussion with our clients.
Lieutenant Walker.
And Your Honor, the state has a matter we need to take up ex parte with the court.
Okay. All right. Lieutenant Walker has been asked.
And Your Honor, the state has a matter we need to take up ex parte with the court.
Okay. All right.
And Your Honor, the state has a matter we need to take up ex parte with the court.
Okay.
And Your Honor, the state has a matter we need to take up ex parte with the court.
Okay. All right. Lieutenant Walker has been asked.
Yo, hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.